Hey folks, follow along with me as we do 1 point perspective train tracks. You'll need an index card or a ruler or another straight edge, some plain paper, and a regular pencil. Here we go. So I start with this one center point, and I'm just going to draw a couple of straight lines. I'm using a straight edge, my triangle. So here's one straight line. I'm just going to give myself another straight line right here. There we go. So we have these two lines coming towards me, and this is going to be the starting of the rail. I'm going to draw right here the actual shape of a railroad track, just so that I have a reference as what I'm looking at. So it's going to be cut off as if we sliced it and looking at it from the front view. So this is about what a railroad track looks like. The flat top, and then it comes down like that, and in like that, and then over. Okay, so that's about what a rail looks like, and I'm going to do another one over here. You don't need to do this part, and of course this side I drew differently than the other side. This one sort of looks like a goblet. Oh, you can see that one. There we go. Okay, so there's those how the railing looks. The train track rail looks. And now we can take these parts, these parts, and go all the way back to our vanishing point. And then just like so. And then this one here. And this one there. Okay, so we should have now these tracks, and this line here, the original reference line, is simply the bottom edge of the flange of the track, the train track itself. Now we need a railroad tie, which is the piece of wood that goes across underneath the railroad tracks that holds them. So we're going to go across like this, and then it extends out the other side a little ways, and extends out the other side a little ways this way as well. See these? Okay, so we have this edge here. Now this is going to be a piece of wood that's sitting on the ground, or a big log. And so we have a little down action over there, a little bit down here, and then we have one across here. Now if you remember from the 1 point perspective lecture, in 1 point perspective we have a couple of rules. 1 point lines will either go horizontally, okay, vertically, or they'll go diagonally to and from the vanishing point. Okay. So here we have our horizontal lines and we have vertical lines, and to give this board thickness, to make it look like a piece of wood that's lying on the ground, we need to have our lines go back from the board towards the vanishing point. And it's not going to be very big. It's only going to be like about that big. Okay. And now we'll do a horizontal line so we know how tall it is. Here. Now that line in the middle can be nice and dark. So can this one over here, because I know how long it is. But this one has to be a little bit lighter because I don't have a reference line. So I don't know where to stop. So now that I have this line started, I'm going to go from here back to the vanishing point up here. And there's our reference line for this edge. Now we can darken this one up. Okay, and speaking of darkening these ones up, we can also make these lines nice and dark for the tracks itself, because that's our primary lines. We're not going to be doing anything over those. We're not going to draw a train on this exercise, so we don't have to do a lot of erasing, but we want the lines to be darkest here in the front and then to gradually thin out going further back. I'm using a standard number 2 office pencil for this exercise. We could also use our darker pencils. If you've gotten your darker pencils for the course, I have links on the website to Blick Art Supply for their pencil sets. which we've covered in the equipment class. But for now, I'm using a number 2 pencil. Let's make this one darker over here as well. Hey everybody, sorry to interrupt. It'll go a long way if you like and maybe leave a comment. So. If you'd like to subscribe, that'd be great too. See you soon. So we have our train tracks going front and back. We have our first railroad tie, is what they're called, laying on the ground. I'm not going to bother with pebbles or stuff like that right now. Now we need to place our next railroad tie. Now this one is arbitrary. The placement of your second object is kind of arbitrary. There is a mathematical formula to figure out where it would be, but we would need to know what size this is. So I'm going to make an arbitrary position for the next railroad tie, because being the artist that's drawing the picture, you're allowed to do that. So I'm just going to back up a little bit here, and I'm going to put one right about here. I'm going to go from this reference line over here across to, oh, I'm missing a reference line over here. Let's make a reference line over here. There we go. Very, very light reference line. I think you can barely see it, but it is there. Now I'm going to do a horizontal line to represent the starting of the next railroad tie, starting there. And like so. Okay, so there's the starting for the next one. Now, how far back do we go here? It's a great question. Because they're going to get narrower and narrower. So in order to place that, check this out. If I draw a line, I'll go from here to this corner to there. I have a line that's going approximately that, like that, right there. And a way to figure out where the next one can be is to give yourself a center line down here. Now this isn't vital to do this. You can just do them by eye. But if I have this line here going down the center from here, and it crosses here, it just happens to cross there and meets there. If I go to the back of the tie and make it cross here, I'm going to get a dot right about there. I'm going to cover this again in one of the other lectures that I'm doing, having to do with placing flats on stage. Okay, but there's the back of the next one. So there, and hopefully they're relatively parallel. And I need an up and down line. And an up and down line over here. Remember, 1 point perspective, up and down, side to side, and back to the vanishing point. But there's the next railroad tie right there, sitting on the ground. Okay. So there's the next one. Now, figuring out where the next one is. Let's take it from this line here, this corner here. We're going to go back through the center line, right where that mark is, and figure out where it ends there. And right there. Okay. So as we go gradually further away from us and towards the vanishing point, these are going to get much closer together. And since they're getting closer together, it's going to make it seem like the boards are getting thinner and thinner, but they're not. They're just working in perspective. I have another exercise that we're going to be doing soon where I took a picture of a boat dock specifically to teach perspective. I'll be setting that one up at another time because I have to load it into the program so that I can bring it up on the screen. So there's this one. Okay, So you'll see how they're getting progressively smaller and tighter, and we can keep on going and doing this, or we can also do it by eye. We don't necessarily have to always be following the mathematical accuracy, but it does look better. So there's a couple of train track wired railroad ties placed here on the ground and going off into the distance, and we're going to keep on doing this to continue, and I'm going to do the rest simply by eye, just because I don't want to keep everyone for a really long time. And this one looks actually slightly crooked. See that? That's what I get for not doing it properly. But that's okay. When you start getting to the distance, you can start doing some of these freehand, but they will take on a little bit of a wonky shape if you do that. Wonky shape, that's a highly technical term.
Hey everybody, if you could like this and leave a comment and maybe subscribe, it'll go a long way to get YouTube to share it with others. I have more drawing videos. What else do you want to see?
There we go.
Leave a comment.
As we get further away, that was way too close. That was way too far apart on that one. And so I'm going to start putting these closer together. One, this one, the next one. You'll see how they start to really see like they're moving into the distance because I'm getting that much closer with them. Also, we are going to want to keep our pencil sharp because the further away we get, the tighter and smaller that line is going to be. And instead of keeping our pencil sharp, we can also use a harder pencil. This is a 4H pencil, and this is an HB pencil, number 2 pencil. So these sharper lines are going to seem like they're going more in the distance as well. Okay, so I have a bunch of ties there, and I'll let you guys finish those on yours. Just throw in a few of these. You can also start doing this and just have them start going off into the distance freehand. Right. They don't have to be perfect. So I'm going to throw in a bunch of these. Freehand as you can get them. They're also getting much lighter in tone. At some point they'll just blur together as lines without shape, and then at some point they'll just become an even field of gray or black or whatever, what have you. And we'll get back into that shading. And there'll be just a little bit of side blurriness on either side as we can't see them anymore because they'll be hidden by the railing. Okay?